Hey everyone, welcome back to the RPGames YouTube channel. My name is Ralph. We're back with the life and suffering of Sir Brante. It's the year 1131. I'm 13 years old now. Another theology lesson. Today's sermon is about the priests and why the clergy is the only one of the three estates with the right to interpret the lots and guide the other two estates accordingly. Thomas sits next to you, huffing and puffing, as he fervently writes down the teacher's every word. You've heard all of this from Mother many times before, so you take this moment to daydream a little. Father promised to take you to the capital once your studies are complete. But the teacher suddenly casts a stern look around the lecture hall and raises his voice at one of your classmates. A boy by the name of Brian jumps out of his seat. The teacher asks him to repeat what he just said. Brian freezes and seems to shrink. He tries to muster a reply, but nothing comes out. The class becomes agitated. Somebody's about to get punished. Man, these kids are hardcore, cheering on when someone gets punished. The teacher now looms over Brian. Let's go, teacher! Kick his ass! The boy's cheeks are flushed and his eyes are covered in tears. Already, even before he gets hit. Wow. You all watch the teacher's iron-bound book. As he raises it sharply, about to strike, Brian shrieks and raises a hand in front of him. A sudden flash, the teacher screams and buries his face in his arms. His hair is ablaze and his skin is covered in horrible burns. It's magic! Real magic, just like in the books about the Magra rebellion. The class freezes in shock. There is a dull thud as the iron-bound book falls to the floor. Wait, what? What just happened? Brian's hysterical laughter rends the silence. He stands up from his bench, fire in his eyes, and sparks on his fingertips. There are screams now. Students run for the door. The teacher tries to extinguish his burning hair. You didn't see that one coming, huh? Brian snaps his fingers and the book of Isacius on the desk turns into pillars of flame. He laughs and raises his arms and the curtains catch fire. I get the feeling that this is the daydream. If not, I no longer want to be a noble, I want to be a mage. The screams grow louder as the fire howls. Brian's face is tense and violent. His mouth is spewing flames and his whole body is shaking with laughter. He steps towards the door. You and Thomas glance at each other. He's going to burn the whole school down. Your friend's determination makes you brave. You run behind Brian and knock him off his feet. You both tumble to the floor. Even through his clothes, his body sears your flesh. Brian screams, convulses, and grabs Thomas by the shoulders with his burning hands. Thomas howls, but stays put. Then knocks Brian senseless with several fierce blows to the head. There are servants fussing around the room now. They put out the fire, take away the teacher, his body covered in horrible burns. You and Thomas remain next to Brian, who's lying on the floor, silent. Soon, 3 men in black cloaks enter the doors of the school, each bearing an edict sealed with silver. The Inquisition. You and Thomas are told to step away from the witch. They look Brian's neck in a silver collar, take him away. One of the Inquisitors remains behind to tell the students what happened. That was magic, he explains. The ungodly power that twists the minds of men into savage instruments of murder. Only the sacred shackles of silver can hold it at bay. Only the power of the twins can save us all from its evil grasp. The next day you're forbidden from ever mentioning Brian's name again. He is no more. Okay, well, we're continuing our good relationships with our friend Thomas. The Nobleman's lot, it's finally here. We're going for it. A great day looms ahead. 100 years ago, utter tempest was anointed to rule over the empire. Blessed by the twins themselves, the emperor reign continues into the 2nd century. Celebrations in honor of the Tempest dynasty are held throughout the city, and the school is closed for 2 weeks because of that. On one of these evenings, Father tells everyone that Grandfather is going to bring Stephan back home for the holiday. They say families should celebrate the day of anointment together. You could benefit from your elder brother's company. With his noble education, Stephan might be able to teach you how noblemen are supposed to act. What he's gonna teach us is how we can steal girls that are Actually supposed to marry other nobles, probably. Soon Stephan arrives. He now handles himself differently. When it comes to ordering servants around and ignoring Gloria, he's still grandfather's double. But he's more grown up now and far less haughty to you. It's a dark winter evening. A damp, cold wind sweeps through the city from the barren lands of Magra. You and Stephan are sitting in the library. He's telling you all about Eterna, the capital of the Empire. It's full of so many wonders. The Imperial Palace, the enormous Temple of the Twins, the Military Academy, the Imperial College. You've read so much about these places, yet he has seen them firsthand. Nathan enters the library. He looks concerned. I can't find Gloria. I looked everywhere. She's not in the attic, not in the sitting room, not in the kitchen. I heard she wanted to sneak off to the ruins of Shar Milanides' palace. She could be lost in there. You and Stephan exchange looks. Shar Milanides, the rebellious duke. The ruins of his palace are a dangerous place. Some children claim his tainted magic still lingers there, which means you absolutely have to make your way there and back again to prove you are not afraid of the long-dead witch. Your brother tells you to wait. He leaves and soon returns with a sword in his sheath. Get ready, Randolph. We're going to rescue Gloria. She must have gone to the ruins in search of inspiration for another one of her little rhymes. Why would you care to rescue Gloria? You won't even acknowledge her. That's a bit odd. The two of you instruct Nathan to tell your parents you've gone for a walk in the square. You and your elder brother head outside. You're confused by Stephan's actions. Yeah, exactly. He refuses to treat Gloria like a human being, so why is he still so determined to rescue her? What I just said, yeah. Stephan notices your expression. Are you wondering why I care about Gloria all of a sudden? I can't act in any other way, can I? The law of honor compels me to protect my family. Gloria will never be a Brante, but father still took her into our house. I must respect his seniority and defend Gloria like she's one of her own. You're a Brante too, noble or not, which means it is your duty to aid me. The ruins of Shar Milanides' palace span an entire district. The palace was abandoned centuries ago and its remnants are overgrown with thick underbrush. The ruined palace is empty. Nothing but cold wind blowing over crumbling brickwork. Even the worst scum of the land steer clear of this place. You make your way through the ruins until you spot scattered sheets of paper covered in writing. Your sister's writing. You hear loud laughter coming from behind the dilapidated stone wall nearby. You pull yourself up to peer over it. Gloria is lying on the ground, face down, twitching and sobbing. A gaggle of drunk young thugs surround her, cackling and swinging their arms about. There we go again. There's another fight coming up. You hear their shouts. Look at the lass sitting here rhyming words together. She thinks she's all noble, but don't you worry, you low-born tart. We're gonna teach you your place. One of the louds spits at Gloria as she lies there. Get away from her this instant, you bastards, or I'll spill your guts. They respond with mocking laughter. Stephan draws his sword. The street thugs recoil in fear, but they soon notice that he's only one armed man against many. They start reaching out for sticks and stones. Stay by my side, don't let them flank me. Stephan's hand shakes, but he looks ready to battle. He's outnumbered. For a moment you hesitate. Perhaps it might be better to run for the nearby district and call for guards. The young thugs are already armed with makeshift weapons. They start approaching you and Stephan cautiously. Okay, we can charge the attackers, which gives us relations with Stephan. We can follow our brother's orders, which gives us +1 nobility, -5 willpower. Or we can call the guards, which gives us +1 ingenuity. Yep, going nobility, straight up nobility. You get busy defending Stephan while his sword does the attacking. Stephan's firm voice fills you with confidence. You follow your noble brother's orders. Takes a moment to grab a stick and then you are at Stephan's back, angrily swinging at the louds as they try to bring him down. One of the louds lunges at your brother with a stone, but you hit him with a stick and he falls down right at Stephan's feet. His sword flashes, the blade sinks deep into the young man's stomach. He wheezes, blood starts pouring onto the ground. The thugs freeze. Stephan pulls the sword out, his face is an inscrutable mask, and he returns to his fighting stance. Man, he's just straight up killing people. You're stunned to see Stephan take another man's life so easily and effortlessly. Like picking his own teeth. The thugs look like they're about to flee. There is rage and confusion on their faces. They never expected the young nobleman to use that sword. Stephan just scoffs at them. Low-born scum, that's all you are. This is the only language you understand. Good job, brother. Gloria, get up, we're going home. He turns to glance at your sister, giving the enraged thugs just enough time to rush you. You get separated from Stephan, your back is against the wall now. They hit you hard in the stomach, then the face and the side of the head, and your mind slips away. When the darkness disperses, you find yourself lying in your bed. Stephan is in the armchair next to you reading a book. He's alive, with left arm in a sling and a black eye, but still alive. Your head is spinning and you feel nauseous. You try your best to sit up. Stephan looks up from the book. Don't try to get up. You lost a lot of blood. I suppose that was a few tucks too many for a single warrior, even with good backup. I'm impressed. We fought like an army. The noble orders, the commoner obeys, all according to our lots. We defended the family's honor together. You know, brother, the nobleman's lot is also a great burden that few are able to bear. It takes courage, not to fight everything you see, but to do your duty. Each and every decision the nobleman makes becomes a part of his family's legacy, flowing in the blood tide forever. Think about it often, a noble mustn't act weak. Noble mustn't suffer like people of the low-born lot. Noble must rule over them wisely. Noble must ensure that they have work to do. It's not merely your own lot you have to look after. You have to ensure that 1,000 others can live by their lots as well. There are so many more matters to take care of. Honor, dignity, tradition, and stuff. That's what it takes to be a nobleman. You understand what I'm talking about? There is approval in your brother's eyes for the first time in a long while. It was a pleasure to fight side by side, brother. Oh, look at that, Stephan is sympathetic with us now. And we lost a little bit of willpower, but we gained 1 nobility, we're at 6. That is pretty good. We are very close to dignified now. Nice. We have no ingenuity, however. We still have 5 willpower left, but, you know, if I can, on like less important decisions, I'm gonna grab some more willpower. The trial of the Assailants. For long, the entire city hears how a gang of low-born thugs assaulted Stephan Brante. Grandfather ensures that the brash young men are found. Some of them are taken into custody as soon as lesser debt releases them. Grandfather seeks vengeance on those who hurt his favorite grandson. Prefect Elborn, a friend of your family, promises to personally oversee the trial and ensure that justice is served. Stephan and Grandfather decide to stay in Anizati until the trial ends. Grandfather demands true debt for every single assailant. You ask Father to explain something. How can a legal court sentence criminals to true debt? How can worldly judgment overrule the twins' law? Your words are true, my son. Their law is second to none. Yet the twin gods also made the empire in all its ways. The court of law exists to execute the laws of heaven here in the world. Should the court of law sentence a person to death, the law high above will always enforce it, and so every execution brings true death. The commoners who assaulted Stephan, a born nobleman, have committed a grave offense. There is no doubt about that. And yet, according to the Emperor's decree, even commoners have the right to defend themselves when they are about to face true death. This means that all of us will have to appear at the trial and testify before the court. Evening comes. Gloria visits your room. She looks crestfallen and her fingers keep reaching for her long hair. You put away your school books and ask what's bothering her. The trial is tomorrow. I thought I was going to appear there too as an eyewitness. After all, this whole mess started because of me. But Sir Robert isn't even going to mention that I was there. Can you imagine? He says it would ruin the case. Why am I always in the way? Nobody ever mentions me. Nobody has to listen to me. It's like I don't even exist. And I thought Stephan standing up for me finally meant something. Maybe I will become part of the family, but no, everything is back to usual now. Gloria tries her best to hold back the tears. You do your best to comfort her. Father just needs to keep the family out of trouble. If Sir Robert believes that I only bring trouble, why did he took me in the house at all? Gloria runs away. You return to your books, but you can't help but get lost in thought. What if they told the court you weren't there either? How would you feel then? There's a knock at the door. It's Father. He closes the door behind him and sits next to you. There's an exhausted look about him. Son, you will be testifying before the court tomorrow. Please remember what I'm about to tell you. Gloria wasn't at the ruins at all. You went there with your brother to inspect this historic site. The low-born men insulted Stephan first, then attacked him. Stephan has managed to deal with the assailants on his own by the time the guards intervened. Gloria will cause suspicion on the case. If we mention her very existence to the court, the reputation of the family will suffer. Your grandfather will never forgive me if that happens. Do not let me down, we're all counting on you. Oh man, that is so harsh. You recall the night of the fight like I was a moment ago. Gloria sprawled under her feet of the cackling tugs, her poetry, her greatest treasure scattered on the ground. She thinks she's all noble, those were the words they spat down at her. But doesn't grandfather mean the same thing when he denies that she's part of the family? But if you do what father tells you, the trial will end quickly. Those commoners will face true death for assaulting a noble. If you mention Gloria, things will get complicated. You cannot predict how the trial will end. Which is more important to you, what is right or what is just? Man, that is a rough one. If we support father, the family will gain reputation. We lose one unity. Our dad likes us better and Gloria likes us less. If we lie to father, we gain an ingenuity. And we gain +1 with Gloria, but we lose 1 with Robert and Gregor, with our father and our grandfather. And if we convince father to change his mind, the family will lose 1 reputation, we will gain 1 unity, we'll gain 1 nobility, we'll gain 1 spirituality, we'll lose 5 willpower. Yeah, I mean, this way, it's gonna eat up my willpower though. It gains me nobility, which means I will become dignified. You're determined to change father's opinion, make sure Gloria gets the fair treatment she deserves. You look father straight in the eye and tell him what you think. You're not going to bear false witness in court. He's a judge himself. How can he make you lie to Sir Elborn? And what of Gloria? Is she not a Brante too? Does she not deserve justice? Or maybe grandfather is right and she's just a freeloader who deserves nothing but shame. If so, then how come father agreed to take her into his home and under his protection? Saying this to father is tough. Deep inside, you pray he hears no weakness in your voice and sees no blood rushing to your cheeks. But it seems he's listening to you intently. The wrinkles on his forehead grow deeper as his fingers stammer out a staccato against the armrest. This is going to be tough, son. But you're right. You're right. I took Gloria into my home, so I must protect her like my own daughter. This was my decision, and I must stand by it. I will speak to Stephan in the morning. Now I pray your grandfather never hears of my change of heart. The day comes. The trial takes place in the lesser hall of the city prefecture. Sir Elborn himself presides as the judge. You're the first to testify to the court. You tell the court the truth about that night, how the thugs humiliated Gloria, how Stephan and you came to help her, and how Stephan defended his half-sister. Out of the corner of your eye, you watch grandfather's face grow red, yet he remains silent. There are confused whispers in the hall. Commoners on trial cry out, "It's the truth, Gloria was reciting poetry and they simply told her she was defying her lot." The situation has changed. By this account, Stephan was not acting in defense of himself or another. He merely assaulted them first in order to retaliate against those who had insulted his half-sister. You spread your feet to stand firm and inhale before you speak next. You ask the whole, "Is it not a nobleman's duty to honor his family name? Gloria does not have the Brante name, but your father took her into his home. Therefore it was Stephan's duty to protect her, as he would have protected any of you." Contemptuous chuckles rush through the courtroom. You have just reminded the city of father's shameless second marriage. Stephan has to testify next. He reluctantly confirms your testimony, glancing at father and grandfather all the while. His arm in the sling is his main argument. Stephan wanted the commoners to stop insulting Gloria, yet in the end the commoners were the first to assault him. After a short recess, Sir Alborn returns and rises to deliver his sentence. The court of Anizotti finds you guilty of assaulting Stephan and Brante, a nobleman who stood in defense of the honor of Gloria, a member of his household. All 4 defendants are sentenced to true death by hanging. There is no wind, but you feel a gust sweep through the hall. The defendants turn pale. Their mothers are bawling, crying. Everybody in the court feels the dreadful power of the law. And it is stern and just. That very power has been invoked by this sentence. By that very sentence, the lives of the 4 young men are literally forfeit, for all eternity. The gallows await. Stephan stands in the front row. Father stands next to him. The wood creaks, the trapdoor open under the young men's feet. They dangle in the air, wheezing and reaching out for support with their feet in their final moments. Oh wow, they're sentenced and executed immediately. Damn. Grandfather's silence ends at home. He screams at you and father, at Stephan and Gloria. This trial is a disgrace. His screams are punctuated by the thudding of his walking stick against the floor. Father says they had to defend their family. It would have truly been a disgrace if they had shirked their responsibilities. Stephan excuses himself to bandage his arm in order to stay out of the argument. Gloria is quiet but glowing. You stay quiet too, it's all over now. It's all over now. Nobody bullies Gloria in the streets anymore. Those 4 commoners are dead forever. The families were taught a cruel lesson. So will it be with anyone who dares to raise a hand against a nobleman. Okay, so we lose a relation with our grandfather. We lose a reputation, we go to tarnished honor. Okay, well, that's not the biggest issue in my opinion. We gain the unity. We gain nobility to dignify, that was the goal all along. We have 1 spirituality and we have 0 willpower at the moment. Another year goes by. Stephan leaves soon after the trial, alone. Grandfather does not go with him. For the first time in a long while, he lingers in the house for more than a fortnight. Father says Sir Gregor is ill and needs rest. Several months go by and it becomes clear that grandfather will not recover. The eldest Brante is mostly bedridden now, and some days he has trouble recognizing people. When he means to address you or Nathan, he calls you Robert, your father's name. But when he does get out of bed, the house grows empty. The servants hide, mother locks herself in her chambers, you and Nathan run outside or hide quietly in your rooms. If grandfather sees anyone in the hallway, he begins lamenting. Oh, nobody heeds the lots any longer. Any harlot with a child can marry a nobleman these days. Children have no respect, his son betrayed him, let him down. And oh, how the Brante family has lost its honor. Again and again you hear of grandfather knocking at mother's door, screaming that it's all her fault. He blames her for ruining his chances to find bliss in the hereafter. He blames her for dooming him to suffer at the foot of the pillar. You overhear your parents talking one night. Mother begs father to move Sir Gregor to his old home and spare the children his decline. Father refuses her outright. It's late at night. The hot, dry winds are coming. The house is empty, save for you, Nathan, Gloria, mother and grandfather in his bed. Father has left for the capital on business. You're engrossed in the history of the Empire, snapping out of your reverie only when the clock strikes midnight. You blow out the candle and get ready for bed. You hear the shuffling of heavy feet outside your door. You see light in the hallway. Grandfather, what could he want in the middle of the night? You peek into the hallway once he is past. Grandfather's figure sways as he heads for the door to Mother's chambers. He opens the door and walks in. You hear him saying something quietly. Your unease is stronger than your fear now. You sneak closer to hear his words. You foul commoner. I have to cleanse my sins. I have to save my soul. You are my greatest sin. What you have done to Robert and his family. I should have put a stop to this marriage. Should have stopped Robert from tainting this house by your presence. Why, oh why didn't I do it? Please, Sir Brante, I beg of you. Silence! You will do my bidding. Fire will cleanse all low-born filth from this place. Fire, and flame will free Robert from this disgrace. This is for my son's sake. For my son's sake, for my sake. I need to eradicate this low-born filth. The twins, they're calling for me now. I can feel it. He has lost it. Man, I hope we get to push him down the stairs or something. Damn. I beg of you, please, have mercy. Mother begins to cry. You run into the room, unable to stay out of this any longer. Yeah. Grandfather's gaunt figure looms over Mother's bed, a lit oil lamp in his hand. Mother is sprawled out on the bed, crying. Please, just let me warn the children, I beg of you, Sir Brante. Your steps are loud enough to be heard. Grandfather turns to look at you. Stay out of this, Randolph. Be useful for once. Worldly matters concern me no longer. I see only my sins now, and a sinner I am. A sinner, the twins, they forgive no one. They will judge me by the pillar. I must do something. I don't want to suffer for all eternity. Go away. Mother is crying. Grandfather is still looming over the bed, driven to madness. His hand shakes as he clutches the oil lamp. His eyes shine in the dark. He truly believes this has to be done. You're suddenly torn. What if he's right? What? What if that is the only way for his soul to find salvation? There is no going back now. You have but a moment to act. I mean, his soul can be at the bottom of the pillar for all of eternity as far as I care. The dude killed me. I mean, run away to rescue Nathan and Gloria, which is a +1 spirituality, +1 ingenuity. Gregor Brante dies, and the family wealth goes down. We can stop Grandfather, which will cost us 5 willpower, +1 ingenuity, +1 nobility, and Grandfather dies. And our relationships with our dead grandfather go down with 1. Let it all happen as Grandfather wishes. This is also +1 nobility. Wow, really? Yeah, no way. I'm gonna stop this guy. You run to Mother's side and snatch the lamp out of Grandfather's hand before he can start a fire. That's the only that's the only logical thing to do here. You look at Grandfather defiantly and step towards him. He stares you down with rage and throws the oil lamp at the floor. You manage to catch it, but just barely. Several drops of hot oil hit the rug, not nearly enough to start a fire. The lamp's glass is blistering hot. It burns your hands, but you still hold on to it safely. You low-born scum. You ruined everything. You're every bit like your mother. You. Die already, Grandpa. Enraged, he takes a swing and you squeeze your eyes shut, but he does not hit you. Instead, there is a deep exhalation. You peek at him with one eye, just in time to see him collapse, all his strength fading away. His chest is heaving, his face a grimace of contempt. Another heavy exhalation. The contempt is gone, there is only fear now. Grandfather's eyes open wide, almost in surprise. He exhales. His eyes grow dim. Mother is there, whispering a prayer. She's shaken violently. You You put the oil lamp gently on the bedside table and call for the servants. They carry the body away. It does not disappear. True death has found him. He will never return. You spent the rest of the night with Mother in the sitting room. She will not let go of your hand. For many, many nights afterwards, she keeps seeing Grandfather's shadow out of the corner of her eye. Father returns from Eterna the morning after. He's unusually composed as he arranges for the funeral. The house becomes quiet, not the looming heavy sort of quiet of the past few months, but the calm relief you all feel now that the old crazed man is no more. At last, Gregor Brante, the family's patriarch, has departed for the hereafter. My dead grandfather is indifferent with me. I am similarly caring about him. Nobility is at 8 right now, that's great. We gained 1 ingenuity, and we're exhausted again. Grandfather's demise. Your grandfather, Sir Gregor Brante, left this world forever to meet the twin gods. The night of grandfather's death shook your family to the core. Yet no matter how it happened, your grandfather Gregor Brante is dead and will never return. He was a fearful shadow looming over the rest of the family, the Brante patriarch exerting his influence on all the lives below him, and all of you will remember him forever. Father is the new patriarch of the family now, yet he still cannot bring himself to sit at the head of the table where Sir Gregor used to preside. Stephan locks himself away in grandfather's bedroom every day. He will not talk to anyone. Gloria and Nathan still jump at every sound that so much as resembles the knocking of a walking stick. Mother spends all day in prayer at the temple. Well, that's no different. And yet the house has become calm and quiet with his passing. There is one more thing that must be done, the final farewell. It weighs heavily upon your soul. Hopefully I have the opportunity to gain some willpower here, that would be very nice. The day comes to pay our final respects. Father goes to the tomb alone, save for Stephan, Nathan and you. Mother and Gloria stay at home. Only nobles or those who may become nobles may join this ritual. There's a solemn silence as you walk to the crypt. Father is the one who breaks the silence when you finally reach the door of the family crypt. Your grandfather built this crypt. Now he will be the first Brante to remain here, in body forever. First ever noble in our family. It's our duty now to hold the sacrament of flowing blood for Sir Gregor. We will honor his legacy and join him as the founder of the noble Brante dynasty. Stephan perks up at Father's words. His hands still clutch grandfather's sword. Tradition decrees that it must remain in the niche above your owner's sarcophagus. Nathan, on the other hand, looks even more frightened now. Stairs carved of white stone lead you downwards. Deep in the gloom of the crypt, atop a pedestal, you see a sarcophagus that holds grandfather's body. Father takes a moment to compose himself before paying his final respects. Gregor Brante, my father, brought our family into nobility through his unshakable will. He was a judge and a loyal servant of the Empire. He lived his life as he had been born a noble, and he never strayed from the path he had chosen. He sought to make the Brante family a noble by the sword, so that our children's children might be of noble birth. The twins know I abided by my father's words all my life, even if I could not obey him every time. Father lets off a bitter chuckle as he says this. Stephan glares at Father, then turns to glare at Nathan and you. After all, 2 of you were born of Father's shameful decision to marry a commoner. All of you remember his disastrous passing. He did not die the true death he deserved. Yet we all must know that he fought for the future he believed in, to the very end, and he would be proud to see his family bid him farewell with this sacrament of the nobility. Stephan still glares at Father suddenly. His fingers remain clutched around grandfather's sword. Nathan barely pays attention to the words. He looks around with unease, his arms folded across his chest. Father reaches into his jacket and pulls out a slender dagger, thin and sharp. Takes off his gloves. Watch me carefully, my sons. Make a small cut on the palm of your hand. Let your blood flow into this duct on the wall of the crypt. It will join your grandfather's blood here and flow forever. Then ancestor and progeny will become as one. We shall enter our family's blood tide and receive grandfather's final blessing, for his blood flows first in our blood tide. He will respond to you. You are part of him, and he's part of you. With a quick motion, Father slices his hand and holds the bleeding cut above a small opening in the wall. Then he hands the dagger to Stephan. Stephan cuts his hand without hesitation and does as Father bid. You receive the dagger next. The dagger's handle feels warm. You hesitate for a moment as you look at the palm of your hand. If you participate in this ritual, you will enter the Brante blood tide. You, a low-born child, a child who's still a commoner. Are you ready to claim your legacy as a descendant of the nobleman Gregor Brante? The eyes of your father and brother are upon you. Nathan, the youngest brother, will follow your example, you can be certain of this. Yeah, of course, giving the dagger back gives me the willpower, I can't do that. I can bleed, which unlocks the blood tide. And I can ask for grandfather's blessing. Before you dare enter his blood tide, you ask grandfather's spirit for his blessing. That gives us relations +1 with father and with Stephan. You grasp the dagger firmly, then quickly drag the blade across your palm. The fresh wound burns on your hand. Yet before you allow your blood to join the blood of your father and elder brother, you ask your late grandfather aloud, will he give you his blessing to become part of him? Will he allow you to join the Brante blood tide? You hear Stephan's indignant sigh. He does not say a word, however. Your words are a token of respect for grandfather and his will. Should you obtain his blessing, Stephan will not defy the late Brante patriarch. Then suddenly you all freeze. Each of you hears your late grandfather speak to you. His voice is loud as it rings in the depths of the crypt, yet he speaks to each of you separately. You had the courage to ask me for my blessing, well, so be it. You deserve an answer. To me, you are not incorrigible. You are half low-born, yet you may make a worthy nobleman one day. I shall allow you to join my blood tide, but know this, I will be watching you always, and my shadow will follow you forever. Do not let me down, boy. Grandfather's voice falls silent. You glance at your father and brother is astonished. Save for Stephan, everyone else is dumbfounded as well. You have grandfather's blessing. You hold your hand above the opening in the wall, your blood drips into the duct and flows further into the crypt as it combines with the blood of your father and brother. Nathan's turn comes. Your younger brother hesitates. Father offers him help, but Nathan shakes his head. Finally he makes a cut, and Nathan's blood mixes with yours in the duct of the crypt. The ritual is complete. Stephan reverently kisses the grip of grandfather's sword and places it in the alcove above the sarcophagus. Once all is done, you leave the crypt together. Cool, fresh wind blows in your face as you return to the surface. Father stops halfway to the carriage, hugs Nathan and you briefly. Now your blood belongs to the dynasty of Sir Gregor Brante as well. Oh, look at that, we have an affectionate relationship with our dad now. And with our brother. We joined the blood tide of the Brante family. The Fugitive Girl, grandfather's passing and lost respects have left a mark on the entire family. As words relayed from the thereafter keep echoing in your mind, you still do your best to avoid the memory of grandfather's last night and spend more time in the city streets with Thomas and your other classmates. The road by the house reminds you of another clash with Dad. Sometimes, as you walk along that road, you recall Sophia, the beautiful girl with the wonderful eyes and the terrifying thundering hooves. You've not seen Sophia since that fateful day. Children who live nearby saw her parents send her to a rich Arcanian family, the Ottons, as a servant. The sun has set. The pillar shines palely in the dark sky. Thomas is ill, so you decide to visit him and tell him the latest news. The streets seem oddly agitated tonight, full of horses, cloaked men, strange faces, hushed voices. A young nobleman in a heavy embroidered cloak is walking back and forth, clutching at his sword nervously. There's a grimace of rage on his delicate blue face. He's an Archnian. You overhear voices. Sir Otton, the girl's not at home. We searched the house. Her parents swear she ran away from home too. They claim they wanted to bring her back. Just do whatever it takes. Turn this loathsome district upside down if you must, but bring my servant back to me. She's here. Sophia ran away from an Archnian? How can this be? There's only one place in the entire street where a person could hide. The abandoned Moral House, 4 houses away from yours. You head there doing your best not to attract attention. Oh boy, here we go. The lopsided house built of yellow bricks has been abandoned for 20 years or so. You remember playing there as a boy. You glimpse a figure inside even before you enter. A pair of eyes glimmer in the dark. You would recognize them even after another 4 years. Sophia has grown up. She's almost an adult now and her face is full of fear. She's not the easygoing girl next door that you remember. She finally recognizes you. Oh, she does, huh? Oh, it's you, Randolph. Be quiet. They're all looking for me. I ran away from the youngest Otton. Might be in for a lesser death there, but I'd rather die than spend another day in their slavery. I'm just a thing to him, just a toy to play with. Sophia winces and closes her mouth as she says this. There's a glint of bright yellow deep in her eyes. I ran to my parents. I told them all about the men I had to serve. They went and alerted the Ottons. They don't want to be the target of their ire, but you? You're going to tip them off, are you? I think I'm going to do whatever gives me willpower, to be honest. The barking and shouting are getting louder, or closer and louder. Sophia's voice grows quiet. She runs off to the darkest corner of the house before you can answer. One of Otton's servants is so close you can hear his cloak swishing around the ground. He notices something and calls for the others. There are more voices around you now. They approach the house from the yard and surround it. One of them seems particularly snappy, annoyed and impatient. You've already heard this voice today. If you're in there, girl, you'd be wise to come out and quit wasting my time. All will be forgiven, you will go back where you were. You know it, and if you don't, I'll drag you out by the hair. The hilt of the young Archnian's sword bashes at the door. He's about to lose his patience for good. Sophia hugs the wall in the dark, trying to stay still. She glances at you. What will you do? Your heart is racing. Can you act against the Archnian's orders? Do you have the gall to defy the mighty nobleman? No, I don't. We cannot try to stop Otton. We can also not help Sophia flee. For that we needed to have rescued her before, I think. We can bring Sophia back to Otton, or we can hide alone, which gives us willpower. Well, things have become too dangerous. You're not able to influence the fate of Sophia. You swiftly turn away from Sophia's desperate gaze and flee to cower in a dark corner. A pained sigh reaches your ears. I knew it. You do not respond, you need to hide. The front door slams open, heavy footsteps echo from the entrance. The irate Archnian strides right past your hiding place, paying you no heed whatsoever. Where are you little tramp? There's no hiding from me. Shadowy figure streaks past you. Sophia? A high-pitched, furious scream slices through the silence. A blinding golden flash explodes in front of you. A sudden cascade of sparks burning through the darkness. As you blink, stunned, Otton's tall figure freezes and suddenly collapses. Another mage? The golden sparks are still dancing before your eyes. Sudden pain seems to rupture your skull from the inside. Through the light and the pain, you barely catch a glimpse of Sophia as she dashes past the prone Archnian and she runs out the door. It takes Otton a few long moments to regain his senses. He gets up with a curse and runs after Sophia. So she's a witch too, huh? Get her now! You hear men running, shouting, barking orders on the other side of the wall. You lie there on a pile of old bricks, rubbing your eyes. The strange stupor slowly leaves you. You get to your feet and walk unsteadily out of the abandoned house, the dangerous past. You walk back home, lost in thought. So Sophia is a witch. You recall how her magic bound Otten by the arms and legs, how he lost control of his body. The runaway servant girl becomes the talk of the district for an entire week. You hear that Sophia has managed to flee the city. The Ottens are furious. Sophia vanished from your life just as suddenly as she came. You will not see her again for quite some time. For quite some time, huh? So I'm guessing she's going to appear again at some point. She is embittered. Yeah, I I get why. But we gain our willpower. And with that, another 2 years have passed and I'm gonna take a break here. If you're enjoying the story, hit that like button, subscribe if you wanna follow along. Thanks a lot for watching and I will see you in the next episode.